All right, it's time for us to start coding our solution. So this is our flowchart over here, and then this is our code. That's going to be right here. Let me go move it over a little bit. All right, so I've already created some places in memory, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I have to do is initialize the loop. So that I'm going to create a place in memory called keep writing. And I'm going to start it out with the word yes in it. Then I can go ahead and start my loop. So it uses the keyword while, and just like an if statement, in parentheses we're going to have the test. And the test is going to be this, so I'm going to copy and paste, or actually control and drag. Okay, so that is how it starts. Then we have to have an open and close braces, and again, just like with our switch, I recommend that you comment it right away and put both of them in right away. So this is going to be start loop and then stop loop. And then remember, we have how are we going to start the loop, how we're going to get into, how are we going to get into the loop, how are we going to get out of the loop, and how we're going to know we're out. Well, down here, after the loop is over, I'm going to add my alert, and that's going to have in it, oops, cool, and that's going to have in it my done looping. Okay, it would be better though if I had a small a here. Okay, better. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we have how we're going to get in. So you can see that there. And then how we're going to get out, we're going to be using an input. So we're going to say, I have a place in memory called keep writing. So I'm going to copy that down. And then I'm going to have a prompt. And in that prompt, I'm going to say, do you want to keep writing? Question mark, close quote. And then my default value should always be the same. It should be yes. We want to default to yes because they're going to say yes, 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 yes until they're done. Then they're going to say no. Might as well have yes in there. If I run this, I'm going to be stuck in an infinite loop. So to protect myself against infinite loops, I'm going to go ahead and save this. And you should always save it before you run it. And that's because if it gets locked into a loop using HTML-Kit, you have to shut down HTML completely. So if you have not saved, then you're going to be in trouble because you're going to have to start all over. Let's see. Call first loop code. I'll repeat what I did before. This would be different. All right, so now if I run it, again, I will be locked in a loop. Can you tell why? What did I do wrong with this? Well, what I did wrong is that I used one equal sign here. Remember, when we use one equal sign, I'm telling it to assign yes to keep writing, so it'll never stop. In JavaScript, we have to have two equal signs, and that means evaluate to see if these are the same. Now it will stop, hopefully. But if it doesn't stop, I at least can shut it down and start it back up again because I've saved everything up to this point. So I'll go ahead and preview it. Do you want to keep writing? Yes, yes, yes. So that means the loop is working. And if I say no, it should come up and say done looping, and it does. So I'm good to go. All right, so let's go ahead and keep building. So you should be using a build and test methodology, and that is build a little bit, test a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create my counter. Whoops, but this should always be at the very bottom. So the last thing you'll do is have this. So your last thing in your loop should be your keep writing portion of that. All right, so I'm going to have a counter, and I'm going to make that equal to counter plus 1. Whoops. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and have an output. And that will be an alert. So an alert is simply a pop-up box. And I'm going to use what we have here. I'm not going to do the we. I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to say we have gone around so many times. We don't need the we anymore. That's not amusing anymore. Okay. Move this over. There we go. Okay, much better. So I'll go ahead and paste that in. I have to start it with a quote. Start it with a quote. Come on. There we go. All right. So now if I save it, and again, you always want to save it and then run it, this should increment the counter. So we've gone around NAN times. So NAN stands for not a number. So why did it do it? It should have said 1, but did not say that. So let's take a look at our code and see what we've done wrong. Now, in order for me to stop this code, I have to say no. Because that's the only way to get out of this. And it says done looping, and then we're done. All right, so let's go back to our code and see what happened. So what is in counter right now? In Visual Logic, 0 is automatically placed into a place in memory, but here I used var, which means there was nothing in it. It was empty. Empty is not 0. Empty is empty. So what it said is add empty to 1, and it says I can't do it. I know you want me to add, but what's in there is not a number. So what we really need to do is, instead of having this plain empty var up here, we should actually start it out with 0. So I'm going to take this down. I'm going to take the whole thing here. And say the counter is equal to 0, and that starts it out with something in it. Okay, let's go ahead and save it and preview it. You've gone around 1 time, so it's working. And I say yes, and it says I have gone around 2 times. Excellent. And then I say no, and I'm done. Okay, so now that we have done that, that's how much time we have. That's about 8 minutes in, so let's go ahead and next do our input. And that is payAccum. So I have a place in memory called payAccum. I want to assign to that place in memory what's returned from my prompt when I ask this question. And I'll say, how much for the ride? Question mark. Close quote. And then my argument, I'm just going to put 10 in there, just so they know I don't want them to type TEN. All right, so that's not going to do anything. Let's not payAccum anyway. That is, we call that ride charge. To confuse you, this is ride charge. Okay. Okay, so then we want to go ahead and move this over. So we did this ride charge first. Now we're going to do the payAccum. So I'm going to say I have a place in memory called payAccum. Let's go ahead and copy that down. And I'm going to assign to that place in memory what's returned. I'm going to take what's already in payAccum, so I'll copy that over, and add to it ride charge. I'll copy that over. Okay, now I'm going to have another alert. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this down and just edit it. Okay, so we have collected and $, and then payAccum. And then we can get rid of this. All right, so now we have added the pay-accum, and then we're going to output it. So let's go ahead and save it and run it. Okay, how much on this side is 10? Whoa. And it said ride charge is undefined. When I copy pasted it, I left out the E. So let's go back. And that's it right here. That's the problem sometimes with selecting and copying. Sometimes you leave out a character. So let's go ahead and try it again. Yeah, we're running out of time. 10. We've gone around one time. Undefined 10. You've collected undefined 10. That is strange. So what's happening is, let's go ahead and say no. Let's go back. We have the same problem with accumulators that we do with counters, and that is it's starting with nothing in it. So we should have done the same thing here that we did with counter. We should have said var pay-accum equals 0. See, so now we'd have 0 instead of nothing. That's why it says undefined. Then we'll save it, and we'll run it again. And we have 10 one time around. But it went 0, 1, 0 instead of 10. So it should have been 0 plus 10. So it's joining instead of adding. And I say no. And that's our old problem that we had before, and that is when we're bringing in numbers from a text box, from a prompt, which is what we're doing right here, this writer charge is coming in as text, and then it's joining it because it's text. So what we need to do is we need to put a conversion here. So let me go ahead and conversion, and then use parseInt to fix that every time it comes in. So write charge equals parseInt. Now you're probably screaming, what is he typing for? Should be copying and pasting, so I'm going to do it here. Okay, and now we're going to take the text in writer charge and store it as a binary number. So let's go ahead. So we fixed both of those problems. Just remember, every counter and every accumulator must start with 0 in it until next lesson. Okay, 10, one time, $10 looks much better, right? We say yes, and then let's say 20, and then 2 times around, and then 30. So you can see it's all working perfectly now. All right, done looping. All right, so that takes care of this part. We're still not done. So next video, we'll go ahead and do the average and then clean this thing up. All right.